So so Away Resorts, you are the CFO, and I
am.
do not know what that is. So did you arrive in a spaceship?
No. However, I was reading an article actually only a couple of days ago about the CFO of SpaceX, which is Elon Musk's company.
Yeah.
And he's a very hard CEO to work for.
Yes.
But his CFO's been there 13 years building spaceships.
Oh my
so
goodness.
you can be a CFO of a spaceship business.
That's cool.
But I'm not.
I was just having a joke. No,
I'm not. I'm definitely not.
You're a CFO of beaches and forest getaways.
I am indeed.
Much more approachable.
Well,
so what does a CFO do? What does it stand for?
So Chief Finance Officer.
Okay.
Finance is the key bit.
Yeah.
Though I would argue I do a lot more than finance.
Okay.
So it's all the financials of the company, but it's also helping set the strategy. And then I kind of think of it as glue. You kind of taking all the different bits and bringing it together and make sure it allows you to be a successful company.
Absolutely.
That's how I think of it.
That's a great way of thinking about it. And finances are kind of fundamental to every aspect of the company. They're fundamental to the one we're existing in, aren't we?
Indeed.
How long have you been with the company?
Oh, not very long. 6 months. Maybe 7 now, actually. I started on the same day as Simon. Who I think you're going to also talk to.
Yeah.
But I've been a CFO for 15 years. But in hospitality businesses, tech businesses.
Okay.
So yes.
So this is a job that exists everywhere.
It's a job that exists in pretty much every company. It's different in every company.
Yeah, because presumably here you're dealing with different people to the CFO at SpaceX.
Correct.
Like, you've got different challenges, different personalities, different end goals, I imagine.
Yeah, yes, definitely.
Yes.
But things are more similar than you would think.
Okay.
You've still got customers who are at the heart of everything. You've still got teams who are doing brilliant work every day.
Yeah.
And you're trying to set them up for success.
Yeah.
Delight customers while also trying to manage financials and plans and all that other good stuff. So I think that is very similar everywhere you go. And the most important thing, actually the best 2 days I've spent since I've been at Away Resorts, I spent 2 days in Cornwall going around all the Cornwall sites, meeting the teams, the GMs, and they're probably the 2 best days I've had since I've been here.
Well, you were in Cornwall.
And it was raining for the first day, it chucked it down. No. And then the second day was more beautiful.
It's not supposed to rain in Cornwall.
It was February, I think.
Okay, we'll let Cornwall off. It has to alter itself at some point. So you are an experienced CFO in lots of different places. What ethos did you personally bring into Away Resorts with you?
That's a very good question. So I'd say maybe a couple of things.
Yeah.
It's quite unusual to have a female CFO.
Right. Okay.
It's easy to say that, by the way, but the stats generally are, I think, if you take the FTSE 100, which is the top 100 companies listed in the UK, there's 24 female CFOs out of 100, and there's only 4 companies that have a female CEO and CFO. So that gives you a bit of an idea. Now, actually, the UK is making lots of progress because we're up. If you take all boards and all sort of C-suite executive teams, we're now up in the UK, the top 350 countries, to about 40%, which is better than it's ever been, but it's still relatively low. And so I've got a bit of a responsibility as a female leader to
absolutely
make it really clear that you can make that progress and that it's a really normal thing to do.
So that's a huge thing that you brought into the company with you.
So that's one thing I think, is that it doesn't matter your gender, how you do, what your life is. You still, you can absolutely be a CFO of a company.
That's amazing.
And then I think other than that, it's just I'm an extrovert. I get all my energy from people, which is why I love going and spending time with people.
Yeah.
So I try and bring that, finance is there to bring rigor, of course.
Yeah.
But actually, we're also there in support of customers. And so that's the other bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's really interesting. Just going back to the female CFO element, I don't actually know about Away Resorts, but what the rest of the big head honchos, are there other women, or are you the only one?
There's 2 of us.
2 of you. Fabulous. And is that, what's the split there? Is it 50-50?
Yeah. 1 in 3, I would say.
One in
Two of 6,
three.
1 in 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess that's not bad, is
No.
it? But
And there's an interesting. I used to be a mentor actually. There's actually an external body called the 30% Club,
okay.
which is about trying to build the number of women in senior leadership positions.
What's the significance of the name?
So it was originally to get to 30% of all boards and C-suites being female. We're now in the UK at 40%. So they're now going towards equality.
It's incredible to think that 30% was such a goal that they named an organisation after, when 30% seems so low, which means what was it
lower.
before?
It was lower before.
That's shocking,
yeah, but it's
it?
progress. It's huge progress.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nearly at equality.
And how long is that progress taken?
Oh, now you're testing me on the specifics. I can tell you we got to 40% in 2024.
Okay.
So that's very recent. And
that is so recent,
presumably when it was set up in 2010, it would have been below 30, hence the name. So that gives you an idea. But I think what Away Resorts do a lot of is, so there's a female program called Whittle.
Yes.
Which is very much about supporting our women in Away Resorts.
And it also holds the company to account, doesn't it?
It also holds
which is actually really important.
Sure. Yeah.
Before we do more about Away Resorts, what was your experience in other companies being a female CFO?
I mean, to be honest, I don't come in thinking primarily I'm female.
Yeah, of course.
I come in thinking I've got to do my job and, all the things that come with it. And I've maybe there's 2 things I would say. When I actually went aboard as a CFO for 5 years.
Wow.
And the biggest thing I noticed there was that the whole expat world was set up for males because you were worried about the schools and the kids. And actually, I was the other way around. We went for my job. And actually, my poor husband, it was fun for me, but my poor husband had no other compatriots in that sort of environment because I was the only female at that time that was an expat. So anyway, in the city we were in. I mean, there's lots of stereotypes of things for females, and female is only one type of diversity, right?
Well, of course,
And there's lots of evidence that companies who are diverse do better. Loads and loads and loads of evidence. And that's not just gender, that's all forms of diversity.
Well, it's actually, if you don't mind me interrupting, it's interesting that you say that, because I always say, people say, why is Pride Month important? And I say, because if you can take pride in yourself, or a company can demonstrate pride in a certain sector, then they're also saying we're proud of everyone. Because you can't be proud of one group without being proud of everyone else that makes your company your company.
Yeah, 100%.
Sorry,
No, it's a very, very, very fair point. I think, there are definitely, again, the stats that say the different groups of people suffer more from imposter syndrome.
Yeah. Okay.
So, can I do my job? Am I good at what I do?
Yeah.
And the stats are generally females are over 50%, non-binary are generally higher, and men are in the 30 to 40% region. So, and I definitely suffer from imposter syndrome. So coming
even after all these years,
totally.
Wow.
And I live on my own, and I have house stuff I have to do sometimes. My builders came this morning, and I was late for work.
Yeah.
And I still have that imposter syndrome.
Oh my goodness.
And I think everybody gets it to some degree, but there are definitely sort of different, depending on sort of diversity, there are different sort of flavors to it.
Absolutely. And I imagine like Away Resorts with its embracing everyone strategy, hopefully that has helped reduce the imposter syndrome. Has it made it, in terms of quite a more comfortable workspace?
Okay. Yeah, I think Away Resorts, the way that we are flexible and hybrid, I think is really important. I think we genuinely love our teams. The values are amazing, attentive, lovers.
Yeah.
I do see that every day.
Wow.
I see it in the sites and I see it here. And I think, we do a great job of that. I think there's always more we can do to be flexible and to really help everyone fit in. But I don't think it ever goes away, by the way. I don't think you ever say imposter syndrome's gone.
No, that's really true. That's really true.
But what you may say is, actually, I'm in an environment that really helps me thrive.
Yes.
And I think that's what Away Resorts does.
Yeah, I know. I think that's
we're all individuals, we're all unique.
Yeah.
But I really do think Away Resorts allows us to A, be ourselves, and B, to wear whatever we want to wear, but more importantly, just to be ourselves and to live our lives, because we all have lives outside of work.
Absolutely. I imagine that finding the work-life balance in a company like this, because you're allowed to be who you are when you walk through the door. Part of imposter syndrome is feeling like you're in an environment you shouldn't be in. But if you're able to walk in and be yourself, then that's one of the hurdles taken away.
Yeah.
Of course, then the fact of doing the job and trying to keep everything afloat, I have no idea how you do what you do. I imagine it's probably not easy. Do you feel any responsibility as a woman in a leadership position to be sort of a role model to, anyone in the team, but specifically other women that work in the company?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're in a senior position, you're a role model full stop, right? Whether you're, whatever your diversity, I think you're a role model.
Yeah.
And I definitely take that very seriously. So I have always in my career, I actually do probably less now than I have done. But I've always done lots and lots of mentoring.
Oh, wow.
Lots of coaching. There's a really interesting sort of concept of sponsorship, that a mentor helps you think things through, but a sponsor also helps you think about, who do you need and what do you need to succeed?
Okay.
And so I guess if there was a sort of a takeaway from this discussion, it's, I would really love to help us at Away Resorts do more and more in the mentoring, coaching space. I know we do lots of programs here, as we talked about Whittle and others, but I think I get loads of energy from mentoring, coaching, sponsoring, whatever it might be. But to say, actually, how do you help somebody be their best? So I think I'm mentoring one or two people here already, but I would love to do more with our teams in the sites as well.
Oh, great! On the parks. How do you find that the embracing everyone strategy relates to when you visit the parks and the teams that work, and maybe even the customer experience?
In what way do you mean?
Do you see it reflected in what's happening on the parks?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I do. And I think, we've had a really hard balance recently of managing costs at the same time as keeping all of the values alive. I spent, when was it? Probably about 6 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I was in Sandy Balls, and we were looking at all of the activities, the archery and everything else, and just seeing the passion and the excitement and meeting the alpacas and...
Sorry, there's alpacas.
Oh, yeah, there's alpacas.
I didn't know there was alpacas.
There's alpacas.
Oh, okay, amazing.
You need to go to Sandy Balls.
I am going to Sandy
There are
Balls.
alpacas. And the team love the alpacas.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
they treat them in the most amazing way. And it's, things like that. I think you just see the real spirit of people.
Incredible.
So we were in, and, people host you just amazingly well. So, yes, everything I've seen has been really, really positive.
Oh, that's really exciting.
So, yeah.
I can't believe there's alpacas. I'm absolutely thrilled about that. That's lost my train of thought. Let me just check where we are. Oh, right. There's quite an important question that I haven't asked you yet.
Go on.
Let me phrase this in a way that's not quite as clinical as I wrote it. I think there's like a conversation that I hear quite often, and it's definitely historical, but I think also current, which is that there's a pay gap, not just between people in leadership positions and people in not so strong positions, but in gender. So how at Away Resorts do you address the gender pay inequity across all the roles?
Yeah, I think in many companies, and I think Away Resorts is similar, I actually believe that, at level role, it's the same role.
Yeah.
You don't see a difference from a gender perspective. Right. I think the bigger thing, and this is the case in many companies, and I think we are part of that, is that we don't have equal representation at the more senior levels, and therefore by default, you do.
So if you were to take an average, there would be a pay gap.
Yes,
okay,
absolutely.
So actually, I think I know the answer, but you're the big boss here. What's the resolution to that?
I mean, I think it's, first of all, just continuing to be very fair.
Yeah.
And very, we have to be able to look ourselves in the eye and say, we are doing the right things, and that we are for similar roles, we are being consistent, and there's not a gender difference there. But fundamentally, it comes back to more senior people in senior roles who are diverse in any way.
Yeah.
And people always talk about the gender pay gap because there's a lot of reporting on that.
Yeah.
There's probably less reporting in other ways, but I think it's a good proxy for diversity.
Yeah, it's a good way of us understanding what exists.
Yeah.
Do you think there is, and this is in general, not just an away resorts thing, do you think there is other pay inequities, say, between different like racial backgrounds or identity backgrounds?
I don't know. To be honest.
That's fine.
If I'm honest,
That's all good. I've only just thought of it.
And there's no analysis. There isn't really any insight on that available.
Which is really interesting,
Yeah.
isn't it? We're very focused on the gender element of it, but actually,
which is a big step forward.
Yeah, it's crazy that's a big step forward because that conversation's been going on for so long.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Sarah.
Thank you.
I hope you had a lovely time.
I've very much enjoyed it. Thank you.
Good. It's good. It's been lovely to chat, actually.
And not very often I get to talk about spaceships.
Well, there we go. And I had no idea about. I didn't realise that SpaceX had existed for that long.